What if I told you that long before artificial intelligence, long before data science, long before the algorithms that shape your feed and your decisions, another algorithm was created? An invisible one, a system so deeply woven into the world economy that it decides, quietly, mechanically, and without remorse, who rises and who stays stuck at the bottom. You don't see it, you don't vote for it, and yet it governs your salary, your debt, your savings, and even your future. Most people think money is neutral, that effort equals reward, that the economy is a fair game where everyone plays by the same rules. But what if the game was rigged before you were even born? What if the rules were written by people you've never heard of? And what if the algorithm at the center of it all has been running for over a century, silently shaping the winners and losers of modern civilization? Today, we are going to reveal that algorithm, where it began, who built it, how it grew, and why its influence is now more powerful than any government on Earth. To understand this silent algorithm, we have to go back to a time before digital screens, before global finance, before anyone knew how dangerous a flawed idea could become. In the early 1900s, a small group of central bankers, industrial power brokers, and political elites met behind closed doors to solve a problem. How do you build an economic system that grows endlessly, even when human productivity doesn't? Their answer became the foundation of every modern economy, a system powered not by value, but by debt. They believed that as long as people needed money, for homes, for education, for survival, they could be funneled into a lifelong cycle of borrowing. And with borrowing comes interest. With interest comes profit, and with profit comes a level of control that no empire in history had ever achieved. But they didn't stop there. They needed a structure, a repeating pattern, something that would run automatically, like an algorithm. A cycle where money is created, distributed, and returned to the top, over and over again. And that is how the silent algorithm was born. The first step came with a simple shift. Money stopped being a thing, and started being a promise. Paper currency used to represent gold or silver, something real, something limited. But as soon as governments realized they could print more promises than they had gold to back them, the algorithm gained its first rule. Rule number 1. Money must never hold constant value. Because if money loses value slowly over time, people are forced to work harder just to stay in the same place. That decline, called inflation, acts like a tax on the poor and a reward for those who own assets. Next came fractional reserve banking, the second rule. Rule number 2. Money can be created out of debt. Every time a bank issues a loan, new money enters the economy. The borrower gets the debt, the bank gets the interest, and the algorithm tightens its grip. Finally, the third rule. Rule number 3. Those at the top must control the flow of credit. Who gets loans? Who gets low interest rates? Who gets bailouts? These decisions, made in boardrooms and committees, determine who gets opportunities, and who gets obstacles. By the mid-20th century, the algorithm had everything it needed. After World War II, the world rushed to rebuild, new factories, new cities, new trade networks. But rebuilding required money, and most countries didn't have it. So the silent algorithm expanded. International institutions were created to lend money. Countries that needed development loans were locked into decades of repayment. And when they struggled, the algorithm added new conditions: privatize your resources, cut social programs, raise taxes, borrow more. By the 1970s, something radical happened. The last link between money and gold was severed. From that moment on, money became pure debt, numbers on a screen backed by nothing but faith. This triggered a new era. Governments could print endlessly, banks could lend endlessly, corporations could expand endlessly. And for the average person, the cost of living began to rise faster than wages, a pattern that still continues today. The algorithm was no longer silent, it was global and unstoppable. As the algorithm matured, its goals shifted. Originally, it was designed to maintain stability, but eventually, it learned that inequality itself was profitable. Credit scores emerged, risk models emerged, automatic lending decisions emerged, complex derivatives emerged. Soon, money wasn't being created for people, it was being created for speculation. Homes became financial products, education became a loan package, Healthcare became a premium, even basic survival became tied to interest rates set by unelected boards. Then came the 2008 collapse. The algorithm malfunctioned, it fed on its own excess and nearly devoured the global economy. But here's the real twist: the system wasn't reset, it was reinforced. Banks got bailouts, corporations got cash injections, average people got debt. The algorithm learned that no matter how much damage it caused, the world would continue feeding it. For the first time in modern history, younger generations are statistically poorer than their predecessors. They face higher rent, higher tuition, higher food prices, higher taxes, and lower real wages. This is not an accident. It is the direct result of the algorithm's core function. Wealth flows upward. Costs flow downward. When inflation rises, assets appreciate. When interest rates rise, the rich earn more on savings. When wages stagnate, corporations save on labor costs. The poor don't stay poor because they lack discipline. They stay poor because the algorithm needs them in that position. Over the decades, governments have tried dozens of solutions: stimulus packages, welfare expansions, tax reforms, education loans, housing subsidies. But they all share one fatal flaw: they treat symptoms, not the algorithm itself. They add more debt into a system already drowning in debt. They pump more currency into markets already inflated beyond logic. They place temporary bandages on structural wounds. And the algorithm continues silently in the background, adjusting interest rates, tightening credit, redistributing wealth upward. Even the digital revolution didn't break it. If anything, financial algorithms strengthened the old one. Automated trading, predictive models, and machine learning risk engines now magnify the same patterns created a century ago. The silent algorithm isn't just alive, it's evolving. Just look at the numbers. Over 70% of global money is created as debt. The top 1% owns more wealth than the bottom 90% combined. Real wages have stagnated for 40 years despite record productivity. The average citizen pays interest their entire life, the wealthy collect it. Global debt now exceeds $315 trillion, growing faster than the world economy. These patterns aren't random, they're consistent, predictable, algorithmic. The same cycle repeats in every country. Debt right-pointing arrow, spending right-pointing arrow, inflation right-pointing arrow, crisis right-pointing arrow, bailout right-pointing arrow, more debt. We are living inside a financial machine, one that prioritizes profit over people, and stability over fairness. And most terrifying of all? You can't opt out. Even if you use cash, even if you avoid loans, even if you save carefully, you are still inside the algorithm, because the system shapes prices, wages, taxes, and opportunities. The algorithm decides who gets ahead, and who falls behind. The economy is not neutral. It is designed, built on rules that automatically reward asset owners and penalize wage earners. Debt is not a personal failure. It is the fuel of the modern financial machine, engineered to be unavoidable. Inequality is not a glitch. It is the outcome the system is structured to produce. As global debt reaches historic levels, the algorithm is heading toward a point of no return. Every cycle gets faster, every crisis gets bigger, and one day, the system may hit a limit it cannot reset from. If you want more deep dives into the hidden systems shaping our world, make sure to subscribe, hit the like button, and share this video with someone who thinks the economy is just common sense. Because the first step to escaping the algorithm is seeing it clearly.